Welcome to my vision boarding workshop for 2024. So for some of you, you already joined me live and we did a workshop a few weeks ago. So I'm redoing this recording and making it a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more basic, to sort of cover what we did, but to really wrap it up in a way that people can understand it maybe better. So a little intro to who I am. My name is Andrea Mitchell, and I am based in New York City. I study mind, body, spirit. So what that means to me, I have a background and a license in art therapy, but I'm also an intuitive coach. So I have the ability to go a little bit more into intuition, into energy, to reading information in that way. And so I combine that with my art therapy practice in an emotional development, emotional exploration to really help people go a little bit deeper into their own self exploration. So I find that it's really important for people to come to a place of grounding and full understanding of who they are and what they want to bring into the world. And that really, for me, is always a vision, right? What do we vision for ourselves? And sometimes that can be a daydream, a goal. And we're going to talk about that in today's workshop. So the other thing about me is I have also studied the body through physical movement, through both yoga and Pilates. And I do feel that understanding our physical bodies is a part of understanding ourselves. So I study the physical aspects, the emotional aspects, and because I work a lot in intuition, I also have a very deep spiritual practice. When I say spirit, for me, it is energy. It is also connecting into a deeper place within ourselves, into our spirit, into our soul. And for me, it also means connecting into my energetic guides that I communicate with. So I use that in all of my practices. So today's workshop will incorporate a little bit of each of these. So to start, I want to just go into what vision boarding is to me. So we see this a lot, especially the beginning of the year or the beginning of things, right? Or possibly when you're blocked. It's a great way to start to figure out how to start moving into a new goal or a new place in your life, right? So vision boarding is so powerful because when we put things into a place that we can see them, right, in the imagery, it helps us to get clear on those things that we want in our life. And so I am a huge proponent. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but I love vision boarding for that. So anytime that you take, an idea and you put it into an image, it's going to be easier for your brain to understand it. It's going to be easier for your emotions to start to feel it. It's going to be easier for you to pull it into your own reality. So when we talk about vision boarding, right, to me, when we envision something, it's kind of like a daydream. So once you start daydreaming, you're bringing in these abstract ideas. And again, you're creating imagery of what you want your reality to be. When you vision it, you are putting yourself into the vision and you're creating or manifesting this reality. So visualizing is really taking this concept of what do I want my life to look like, and daydreaming, and then visioning it is putting yourself into it and creating it. So that's the co-creation part of a manifestation. Okay, so when we start a vision board, first, and I do have a slide presentation, so maybe I'm going to call that up as well. And we're going to do this in a way where I'm going to talk a little bit, we're going to do a little meditation, we're going to do a little work. So because this is a recording, you can pause me at any point, but I'm just going to call up this slide presentation. So when I do vision boards, there's so many ways to do them. And the way that I like to do vision boards is to really think about what we want to call into our lives, right? So there's so many different kinds of vision boards. You can use them to set goals, you can use them to manifest, you can use them to gain clarity. So what we're going to be doing today is to really think about any themes that you want to work through and call them in. So this is a little bit like manifestation. It is manifestation because manifesting something is really just to create something. But I want you to get very specific. And so when we start with the vision board, one thing that you can do, and I did take some of these off of Pinterest, and I can't credit these people because there was no names. So one thing you can do is you can start to use your words and just start to make some lists. Like, what do I want? What are all the amazing things that I want in my life? Like, do I want more money? Do I want more love? Do I want more fame? We all have different needs and wants. So to put those into a category and to really use your words and figure out what do you want in your life. And we are starting, obviously, 2024. So in the new year, it's always good to start to pull together these, everybody likes to make their resolutions or their goals for the year. So start to categorize the things that you want. And then I would say, start to look at your list and figure out for yourself which one is calling you most right now. So is there one that feels like, yeah, that's really what I want right now? Like, what one is calling you? Which one is the priority? And that's the one to start with your vision board. Now, there are many ways, like I said, to make a vision board. And as we go into 2024, it could be, and I have some examples that I want to pull in. It could be that you go from this list to making a vision board for the year ahead, right? And so it may look something like this. This is how I want my year to start to look. This is things that I want to pull in, some themes. Maybe you're somebody who likes words. And so it could look like this. This is my vision for the year. And you kind of you want to look at this and have an idea instantaneously, like, okay, yeah, I get it. This is what I want. These are the goals. And every time you see it, you remind yourself of what you are looking for. So, another way to look at that would be something like this, right? It's a little bit more controlled, a little bit clearer. You have some imagery and you have some words. Again, it's a reminder for you. It's a visual reminder of what you're calling in for 2024. And I'm just going to show one more example. Is this. And the reason why I'm showing this one is because you can create a vision board anywhere, right? So this is a perfect example of creating a vision board that's just on your bulletin board. So again, it could be your work bulletin board, your personal bulletin board. You're just going to put things together and create a vision board. So you want to have these somewhere that is obviously you're going to see it all the time. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So these are perfect examples of things that you can do for a basic vision board moving into 2024, or anytime there's a new moon, or anytime you're starting to step into a different or a new place in your life. So for today, I would like you to go back to your goal list and just start to figure out, after making a goal or a bunch of categories of what you would like, choose one theme. And when you choose that one theme, it should have a little bit of charge behind it, a little bit of energy, a little bit of like something that you really, really want in your life right now. And so I want you to start with that. And we're going to start with some journaling. And so once you have your theme, go ahead and get your journals or just a piece of paper or even just your phone. And we're going to move into some questions. Number one, what do I want? Right? So you have now your list of all the themes. You have the one that's standing out to you. What do you want? So you're going to write that down. The next thing that you want to write after that is, why do I want this? So is it filling a void in your life already? Or is it enhancing something in your life, right? Like, what is it about this thing, having this in your life? Why do you want it? Number 3, if you receive this, how will it make you feel? Obviously, it might make you feel happy because it's something you want, but is there other emotions that come with that? I want you to start to explore any feelings that come up about having this in your life. And then, how will I interact with my environment? This one gets complicated for people. So what I mean by this is, if you already have this thing in your life, does it change your environment? And when we speak about the environment, what I really mean is, we all live in homes, we within cities or towns. We have people we interact with on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes that's work related. Sometimes it's just, the people in our lives. So if you are thinking about your environment, you're thinking about your close-knit environment, like the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, the places that you live, the people that you're surrounded by. So is there something that will change if you receive this thing that you want? And then if that, whatever that may be, how will you then interact with the world, right? So if you're thinking about your environment, and you're thinking about the collective space that we all share, right? How will you then interact? Does it change or not, right? Like, how are you interacting with your world now? How are you interacting with the collective now, or your environment? So by having this thing, does it change the way you're interacting, or maybe expand it, maybe shrink it? Think about that, because when we change something that's small within our own space, within ourselves, it will then change and have a ripple effect outward, right? So if we change something within ourselves, it will change the way that we then interact with the people in our lives. It may change the environment that we live in, and it changes the collective. And that's where, we get into this esoteric idea of what we do changes this whole collective space that we interact with, right? So the things that we think, or the things we change, or the things that we pull into our own life, then have this ripple effect to the collective. So that goes into a little bit more of a metaphysical idea, right? But you want to think about this. How do, having these things that you are calling into your life, like, how do they have a bigger effect? So take a few minutes and just start to write some things down, maybe hit pause, because I'm going to go on to the next thing. So just hit pause now, journal a little bit, and start to, answer or write down any ideas that come up for you around these questions. Okay. So journal number 2, or journaling question number 2. We're going to move into limited beliefs. Why? Because by doing the journaling questions that I just gave you, check into anything that, or any doubts or fears that may have come up for you. So a limited belief is really just a fear that shows up in your life, and it tells you all of these lies, I would say, about why you can't have this thing, why it would be bad for you, what are your limits. And so just acknowledging any beliefs that may have come up for you, or feelings that may have come up for you when you're stating the thing that you want to call into your life for 2024. And there may not be any. And if there's not any, that's great. Then you're in a really good spot. But if there are any emotions or fears or doubts that come up, just jot them down, because it's important to understand these are your blocks, right? So we want to just jot them down. So any fears that may be coming up for you, just take a moment and jot those down. Don't worry about them. Just kind of put them to the side, because we want to acknowledge them. But then I want you to step into this a little bit. Okay. So if if you're somebody who wrote down your theme and nothing came out, you're like, yes, I can have this. There's no fears around it. There's no doubts telling me I can't. Then just, you can skip to the next segment. But if there are fears around it, then I want you to stay here because it's important to clear these out before we move into the next part that gets, more into the building of the vision board. So when you're looking at these limited beliefs, I want you to start to ask yourself these two questions. The judgment I make about others who have what I want is, and then write that down. And this is actually about me and my fear that what? Now, I'm going to break this down because this can get a little bit tricky for some people. So when there's a fear or a doubt, sometimes this is a voice in your head that may come from somebody else in your life. And we're going to get to that question next. But sometimes there's a judgment that you have for yourself that somebody else can have, but you cannot, right? And this is the scarcity mindset. So we want to clear this out. We want to figure out, based on your limited belief, where is it coming from? Is it a voice in your head that's somebody else's, or is it something that's coming from inside you? So if it's something that feels that it's coming from you and you're judging somebody else who has what you want, I want you to explore that. So if somebody is in a relationship and you have many friends that are in relationships and you really want to be in a relationship, but you can't be in a relationship because you haven't found that person and it feels like I always try, I never get, this is for you. So if anything comes up for you around that, and that is the voice that you're holding on to, this question is for you. And I want you to look at that and say, okay, the judgment that I'm making about all these people in relationships who have what I want is that it's so easy for them. They don't even have to try, whatever it is. I want you to just write down. It doesn't have to make sense. Just go ahead and clear it out of your head. Once you have gotten to the place where it's cleared out of your head, I want you to go into this next one, which is, this is actually about me and my fear. So this might be, if it is the relationship, again, this is actually about me and my fear that I'm not good enough, that I can't have, it will never happen to me, whatever those fears are. I want you to journal about that. Again, don't try to restrict yourself right now. Just let it all come out because we need to release it out into the world so that you're not holding on to it because we don't want it to be an energetic block. So go ahead and pause, write whatever you need to write and take some time to journal with that. And when you're ready, we can move to the next phase. Now, this is for those of you who maybe the judgment isn't inside you. Maybe it's a voice that you've heard before from your past. Now, from your past could be childhood, could be school, could be friends, could be in your environment, right? So this isn't your internal voice. This is a voice that has grown from the outside, from the external voice. So whose voice is this? When these doubts and fears come up about you having the things that you really desire in your life, and somebody is coming up with these doubts of like, no, everybody else, but not you. You can't have that. Stop thinking that. Da, da, da. Whose voice is this? So maybe your theme is, I want to make $1 million in 2024. And you are in a job right now where that doesn't seem possible. So you have this voice come up in your head like, you can't do that. Like, what do you think? You're never going to be able to do that. I want you to identify where that voice is coming from. And if it belongs to somebody that you know, right? And maybe it's just a social media or some other voice in the world that is some kind of information that you've picked up in your lifetime. So then I want you to take this a little bit further, and I want you to start to journal about, the next part of this question. What would you like them to know about you that they cannot see? So if you were to then start to talk to this voice and say, well, you think this. However, what you don't know about me is that when I put my mind to something, I am determined and I know that I can accomplish my goals, right? In the past, I have done X, Y, Z. And then again, like journal about that for a bit and then go on to this next one. the fear that you are stating about me that is actually about you is. And so say to this voice, like, you're putting these fears on me because maybe you never were able to have the freedom to go and get your dream. Maybe you didn't make the money that you wanted to make, right? Like, you're putting all this fear on me that isn't really about me, it's about you, right? So maybe this is a voice from a parent who is saying, don't think that you're going to make all this money and have this amazing life. Instead, let's be safe. Go to the stable job, make the stable money. Like, da, da, da. This may be a fear that they have, maybe protecting you. Maybe it's that. Maybe they don't want you to like go too far outside of your current reality and dream big because they don't want you to fail. They don't want you to see that you can't do things. Again, that might not be your reality. It is based on a fear that they have, but maybe it's out of protection. So just looking at these questions, I want you to just journal a little bit and just see what comes up. Because again, anything that comes up for you becomes a doubt or a fear. And when that happens, it will block the energy into manifesting with your vision board. So it's very important to clear and acknowledge anything that's coming up for you. So go ahead and hit pause again. Journal some of this out for yourself. Okay, so here we are moving into a little bit of the fun stuff, right? So we get to play now. We get to really take some of these images that we have in our mind and put them into paper and put them into reality and create our vision board. So we've acknowledged our list of themes. We've chosen the one that has the most energy, the most want, the most need in us. We've cleared out our limited beliefs so we know now that we can fully have these things. And so now we're moving into creating it in a vision, in the vision board. So things that you're going to need, there's two ways to do a vision board. One is on paper and one is digital. So if you're doing this on paper, you're going to need paper. You're going to need a collection of images, possibly something to write with, glue, and scissors. Basic things. What I would say is to really allow yourself right now to just look through a bunch of images, magazines, books, wherever you're getting these images from, and just collect an enormous amount in front of you, and then cut out the parts of them that really feel aligned to your current vision. Okay. So that you don't need to stop and start. We want the energy to continue to flow. And so to already have pre-cut imagery is going to be a lot easier for you. If you're doing a digital board using, you can use Pixar, you can use Canva. There's a lot of apps out there that are great that you can use. I would say the same thing, like start to use pre-cut images, which again, you can use magazines and just screenshot, or sometimes they have them built in. Sometimes you can take them from the internet, wherever you are getting your imagery, just have a bunch of pre-cut images. So once you have those and you have the idea of your theme and you're ready to go, we're going to get started. So I like to do my my vision boards sometimes in a circle, because when things are in a circle, and that's what I'm going to coach you guys with today, when things are in a circle, the energy flows, right? So the circle is really about this endless flow of energy. It's in the whole picture. And so using a circle can be very healing, and it can allow energy to really come in like a vortex. When we think of a vortex, right? Or stepping into a portal, these things are circular. So we want the energy, again, we're talking about esoteric information coming through and manifestation and all of these things. So we want the energy to be able to come through in a very focused way. So I tend to work in circles, but obviously you can work on a square or rectangle if that fits you. So when we are doing this, we're going to start first with a meditation, and then we're going to move into the actual work. So I'll show you examples in a moment, but I'm going to pull back my screen. here we are. And so you can just take a moment, have all your imagery around you, have your theme in your head, pull in the energy of your feelings and the things that you want to call in, and just sit with all that for a moment. And you can have your eyes open, you can have your eyes closed. I'm going to close mine. And we want to start to just ground down into our bodies. So before we call in energy and create, it's always a good idea to get an idea of where our current energy is in our physical body. And so just starting to do a little bit of a body scan here, starting with the top of the head, and just starting to breathe in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. And just allow that calming breath to start moving down through your body. And just clearing out, bringing attention to your head, and bringing attention to your neck. Starting to drop that cord down through your spine, allowing it to move out through your shoulders, your arms, your fingers. Really filling up your torso, your organs, flowing like blood through your body. Breathing it in, releasing it out. Just letting go of anything that you may be calling in before the session, earlier in the day, all the information that I gave you, just really letting it sit for a moment outside of your physical body. Continuing to breathe as the energy starts to flow, just taking any information from your body as you move down through the torso, through the pelvis, through the legs, the joints, the bones of the body, and out through your feet as you connect yourself to the earth, really allowing your body to be here now, just here wherever you are today in this moment, in your space, and just knowing that that's exactly where you need to be. So just breathing that in and breathing out. And just acknowledging anything that might be showing up for you in your body right now. And you don't need to fix that. It's just where you are, and that's perfect. That's exactly where you should be. And so be with that. And now I want you to bring in to this energy space the theme that you're working with for your vision board today. And so, well, however it might show up, maybe it's a color, maybe it's an image, and however that shows up for you, just allowing yourself to feel into it, to feel any emotions that come up when you think about it, to see yourself there having and receiving this image. How does that feel for you to put yourself, envision yourself in it? Really allowing that energy to move around you and to allow yourself, your soul, your spirit to be in and connect to this idea of the way you want your life to be in 2024. So bring that energy through your entire body, around your body, fill your space, and start to turn this into a little bit of a daydream. So how would it feel to have this? How does your space feel? How do you begin to move through your environment to interact with the people around you? How does your world begin to change? And how do you change with it? So anytime we call anything into reality or go through a change of any sort, it has that ripple effect. It changes everything. And so by having this desire come true, how does that then change your environment and how you interact with it? And I also want you to think about that impact on the collective and anything that you may need to call into your life from a spiritual, supportive way, just calling that in now too, visualizing that as you can. And once you have that, start to come back to your physical, come back into your body, begin to feel again the awareness of your physical body, feeling your feet grounding down into the earth, and just calling all your energy back into your physical body. And then coming back into this present time and opening your eyes. We are back here together. And again, we can continue, or you can hit pause and just take a moment, but we're going to move on. So the next phase, you have all of your imagery, you have your tools that you're going to work with, whether it be digital or on more paper. And we're going to get started. So gathering those things, I want you to think about how you would represent yourself. So it may be an actual photo of you, but it may be, an image of some sort, or maybe you're choosing some other photo of somebody else that represents you. All of these things are fine, but it is very important that you put yourself in your vision board, because we want this to be about you. So gather an image if you haven't already. And I'm going to share my screen again. So here we are. So we have all of our things. I'm going to show you a few examples of vision boards. So when I speak about a vision board, I showed you some examples that are totally fine of just putting images of what you want for yourself, and that's great. When I'm talking about a vision board for today, I want it to be an idea of the imagery you're calling in for your theme. But I want you to be able to look at it and instantaneously have a feeling of yourself already having and living in that vision, so that just by looking at it, your whole body, your soul, your emotions, your mental capacity, you don't need to try because you're just in it. So if you don't already have these things in reality, by looking at this image, you're reminded through your entire nervous system and your energy, your spirit, that this is possible and that you're already in it. So I'm going to show you a few examples. Again, I chose this on Pinterest. So this may not have exact imagery that represents what this person is calling in. But when I look at it, I have this idea of theater, a theatrical thing, a performance, and it gives me this idea of what they're calling in for themselves. And it very much has to do with dance, it seems, or movement and art. And so I feel like this person possibly is calling in something around performing or being an artist for this, time in their life. So that is something that I would say definitely, go with. Now, I'm going to show you a few that I created for this. And I'm also going to show you in this how I created the vision board and also used digital. So I created these vision boards using just cutout collage, traditional collage. And then I actually used PixArt to give it a different feel. So this one I created around love. And I know, many people, we usually do love, we do money, we might do housing. It's usually, these are the big themes. So this one I created around love. And so when I created the vision board, I wanted all of the imagery to be around love. Now, I'm going to say this also. One of the things that I'm working with these vision boards is that in the middle, right? If we think about the circle and we start in the middle. So in the middle, and my middle is a little lower, maybe, you want to put your desire. What do you desire most? So in the very beginning of this circle, in the dot in the middle, you can put yourself. And also, if you already have the desire that you want, what would that look like, right? So I didn't have a picture of myself. So this person is me and calling in the partner. And so that's my middle. Now, when you think about the next layer around that, I want you, like we were doing in the beginning, to put in that next circle is how, your environment, right? So if you already have this desire that you're calling in, how does that change your environment, or does it, right? So what would your environment look like? So my environment, if I already had this, I have a connection to nature, so I would keep that. This is, New York City where I live, but now I'm possibly walking down through partner, lots of connection and, being able to sit and relax and look out at the world. So again, not much in my environment has changed. It's just that now I am sharing that with somebody. So that is just for me. So you want to look at your environment and how your environment is now changing or not. But I would say, like, how is your environment supporting your desire? You want to look at that. So does something have to change in order for that to happen, or is it already existing for you? Just important to look at. Now, the next phase outside of that would be, how then are you interacting with the world? Now, that is very similar to me as my environment. So for me, not much is going to be changing as far as how I'm interacting with the world, because I'm already older. I've already established myself in a way that I like the world that I live in. I am very connected to the world, and I would feel like if I were in partnership, it would only continue, but I would have a partner. So for me, nothing really would change. But for some people, that may actually change. It may expand, right? It might give you a bigger platform. It might give you more adventures. Maybe you want somebody who, maybe you want a partner who lives in another country, right? So that may change, like your environment and the way you interact with the world. These are personal. So the last layer is going to be, how can the energy, the universe, those things outside of ourselves, how can that support this desire? So on the very outside layer, you would put that. So for me, I put this pink. However, I decided to use PicsArt. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So when I used PicsArt, I was like, I want it to be pink, and I want it to be this sort of like protective boundary that really is holding space and bringing in love and support in all ways that it can, to really allow this theme to happen. And as you can see, also through using the PicsArt, I was able to clear it up, right? Like, it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, which is always good if you are going to be looking at your vision board all the time. So I'm going to just move on for another example. This one I created thinking of the theme of bringing in more financial abundance. And when you think about that, because this is another theme for people. So when you think about financial abundance, you want to think about, okay, well, if you have a lot of money, it doesn't really change just by having the paper money. It doesn't do anything. So you want to check into that and go, if I really am calling in more money, what am I actually asking for? And so for me, again, here I am in this middle. This is the person that I've chosen to represent me, because this person is obviously like decked out in gold, lots of shiny things coming in, huge diamond, obviously representing wealth. So that's my center. This is me. This is what I want, this financial abundance. Now, how does that change my environment? Well, for me, it spreads outward, right? So it's spreading out. I can give more. So the energy is moving beyond me into my environment, because now I have something more to give financially to people. At the same time, I can travel, right? So you see this little lighthouse. I can travel. I can have a home. I can maybe have another home in the country, because I love the city and I love the country. So my environment might change because I financially can afford to live in both the city and the country, and I can give to others. So that is how it affects my environment, and the world still, right? Because if I can financially support myself and help those in my environment, I can also give some of this wealth to the world, right? So I can be more of a contributor in a financial supportive way to things that are going on in the world that I really care about. And then how can I feel supported by my universe or my guides, my teams? Well, they can just continue to give me, knowing my intentions, financial support. And I used gold because to me, that's abundance, right? This idea of gold as this alchemical material. So then I again cleaned it up and made it even more shiny and abundant with my universe using Pixar. So now when I look at this, I can immediately start to feel the abundance from the universe coming in a whole circle of wealth, so that I am in the middle, feeling secure in the places that I live, giving what I'm able to financially to the world, and really allowing that to be full circle. So so when you're creating, and I'm gonna stop this soon so that you guys can go out and create your own thing. When you're creating your vision boards, and I'm just gonna stop my share again. Here I am. When you're creating your vision boards, I want you to think about that as a circle. So we're today doing that this way. There is so many ways to do vision boards. If you have one that you like, go with it. But this is obviously just the one that I'm using for today. And I want you to think about yourself or your desire in the middle, and around that, your environment and how your environment might have to change or maybe not to support your desire. And on the outside of that, I want you to say, how does this now connect to the world? Like, how is you having the desire changing or not changing your collective? And then what the universe is around you at the very end to support as a boundary to continue to give support to you having and manifesting your desire. So that is what I want you to work on. So go ahead, pause now, and take your time and create this either digitally or in a collage or both, and then come back for the last part. Okay, so here we are in your last portion of the workshop. So just to run through, we created our desires, our wants. We cleared our limited beliefs. We chose how we were going to do our vision board, and we gathered our materials. And then you created your vision board. So you should all have something to look at now. Now, this is optional. It could be that your vision board stands alone and you don't need to put any wording in it. However, if you wanted to, I would suggest either on the front within your vision board or on the back of the vision board, you choose one affirmation that goes with the vision board, so that this is something that you can say to yourself every time you see your vision board, right? So you're going to choose one affirmation. You're going to either write it within the vision board or you're going to write it on the back. And, these are just a few ideas, but you can create your own. So you want your affirmation to support your desire. So we talked about, I think the examples I shared were around relationships and love and financial abundance, right? So again, this might go back to your limited beliefs. If you have a limited belief about not feeling worthy of love, your affirmation would be, I am worthy of love. And you would write that within your vision board or on the back as a reminder. If going to the financial abundance, if you have a limited belief that you're not smart enough to earn $1 million, then you might write in your affirmation, I have all the power, intelligence, and skills to bring in $1 million or more. And that might be your affirmation. So go with what feels right to you. Now, when I say or more, because you don't want to limit yourself, right? Like we're using those limited beliefs in the beginning. We want to get rid of them. So when you're choosing an affirmation, you don't want to limit yourself. So you always want to say and more, because as human beings, we actually do not have the capacity to see in full the life that we could possibly have, right? So we always tend to limit ourselves. So you always want to trust in the universe to know more than you coming down the pipeline, right? So if you're saying, I just want $1 million, but actually you could earn $10 million, you don't want to block that. So you always want to put or more, right? So you want to add those affirmations to wherever you have in your vision board. Take a moment, pause, and then come back. Okay, so here we are at the end. You have your vision boards, you have your affirmations, you've moved through your limited beliefs, and you're in a place where you now have this theme and you're ready to go and manifest it, right? So what do we do now? Okay, so a few things. I suggest your vision board now becomes a tool. And something that I talked about when I did this live is this idea of the vision board sort of being a talisman, right? And what is a talisman? A talisman is really just a symbol of something calling in for, it can be used for protection, it can be used for love. It's just a sort of a symbol, a token, a talisman that we give our power to, that we then believe in, right? So I know there's more to it, but that's the brief of it. So your vision board becomes your talisman. It becomes this alchemical power tool, because you're giving energy to it and it is giving energy to you. So by using this as a portal, you can call in now the manifestation energy. Now, I would suggest that when you're using it, things may come up to you to change. Maybe you want to journal with it, right? Like maybe your affirmation might change. You might see things that you didn't see before. Don't be so stuck in your vision board that your vision board becomes a block. So allow the energy in the vision board to continue to come through like a portal into your life to change things. So it is something that you're going to work with. It's not just something that's going to be stuck on the wall and forgotten about. I want you to work with this on a day-to-day. So what does that look like? Well, some of you may want to take a photo of your vision board and have it on your phone as a home, like a screensaver, right? So it's like the home screen. It's like the first thing that you see every time your phone rings, every time your phone goes off, every time you pick up your phone, right? So it's a constant visual for you to go in, to say affirmation, and to remind yourself of what you're calling it. So that's one way to do it. Some of you may want to frame it and put it by your door or in your bedroom. So possibly it's the first thing you see every time you come and go from your house. Or maybe it's the thing that you see in the morning when you wake up and when you go to bed at night. So you want to have it somewhere where you're going to use it and see it. Every time you see it, you want to go into your affirmation. Now, to really call this in, I would say sitting with your vision board every day and journaling for about 10 to 15 minutes, just whatever comes up for you. Maybe it's going into writing more in a, like bringing into your vision. Now you're going to write about it. So maybe step 2 for you is going to be sitting every day with a journal and really creating for yourself, like, let's go back into that theme of love, because I think that one's a really common one. So you're sitting with your vision board about love and you're going to journal and you're going to say, okay, well, in your mind, like, when might you want this? I would give yourself something like, a week, a month, a year, I don't know. And you put that date. So today is whatever date that is that you think this is going to happen for you. I am standing I'm standing on the corner of the street, and maybe it's even a neighborhood that and just really write out how, this might happen for you, right? Like what this might look like. Like maybe you already have this. Maybe it's not the moment you meet the person, but maybe it's like in the relationship. Like, what does it now feel like? So write that out for you. So if you're somebody who's very connected to words and writing, and that's how you start to like put yourself in the vision, then do that. If you're not, maybe your journaling is just about like whatever comes up for you. Or maybe it's just sitting for 10 to 15 minutes in meditation with a candle, really setting your altar, setting your space with your vision board and connecting in, right? There's no right and there's no wrong. These are just options for you to continue to work with your vision board until you really call into your life all of the things that you're thinking about for your vision board. I would also say that if, many people have more than one desire, if you do, try to have more than one vision board because the energy gets scattered when we just throw it all into chaos. So you could start with one vision board going into 2024 of like what you want your life to look like in 2024. And I showed an example of that. But if there are desires in there that you really want to call out that are specific, I would create a vision board for each of those desires because you want the energy to really come to not be split, to be able to come into that focal point, right? Like when we talk about the circle. Yeah, so that's for today. That's the vision boarding that I'm going to do. Now, if you are in my elemental coaching group, we start soon. We start in like a week, I think, January 7th. We're going to take these vision boards and we're going to take it to another step. So we're going to be talking about intention setting and ritual. And so we're going to use these vision boards and we're going to move into setting intention using ritual. And we'll probably move into other stuff. We're not going to stay on just the vision board, but we're going to move into a next step with that. So if you are in that, then look forward to that. If you're not in that, maybe it's something you want to join. There will be another video on intention and ritual here. But the difference is when you're in those elemental coaching groups, you are doing a full meditation. And you're doing some art and some creative work to sort of really understand the themes that we're talking about. So we're talking about intention setting and we're talking about ritual. So that's going to be in that group. Those groups are about 2 hours long. There will be a recording. There will be theme recordings on YouTube for the public, but you will not have access to the full breath work and you will not have access to the art component of that. So if you are looking for that or any kind of like questions and answers or any feedback from me, then you have to be a part of those coaching groups. So I hope you enjoyed today's vision board workshop and stay tuned for more of these workshops to come, and leave your feedback, like and subscribe, and all of those things.